Very excited here today. We've got Panos Panay from Microsoft on the show. Big things happening here. Talking, of course, about the latest device, the new Surface Duo, which I've been playing with for a while. And honestly, I get excited anytime I'm kind of interacting with a new form factor. And anytime I get an opportunity to play with something that is not a slab of glass, just the same thing done over again. I've seen that obviously almost 1,000 times on the channel for the amount of time that I've been doing this. And I understand that this device is sort of your baby. Is that fair to say?
I think it's probably a good characterization. I kind of get in trouble at home, Lou, sometimes when I say these are like my children, because especially when the kids watch, if that makes sense. Like it's right. But yeah, I think it's a representation, of the whole team's kind of investment. At the end of the day, like there's an amazing team that works on these products. But yeah, it is near and dear to my heart. It's been, it's emotional for sure. It's my baby. I think I could say that.
Well, I mean, I think it's so different and new that it would require somebody to sort of push it through, or a team, as you mentioned, because it is so different from what's out there. And I'm sure most people's approach would be to sort of look at what's happening in the marketplace and sort of approaching a new device with that in mind. But this is so different from what's out there that for me, I sort of imagined it as being it would have to be somebody's passion project to put this through.
Fair enough. I think you're right. It is different enough that it takes a little bit of conviction, a little bit of the team had a vision. Yeah, they're amazing, and I believe in where we wanted to take the industry on this topic. Like it's a big deal. Lou, you got to look. You got to look at what do people want to do. What are they trying to do? How can we make things easier for them? We always talk about it that way. Like, what is it? What are the needs of people, consumers? Pick your customer segment, but that's a pretty important element. Where once you sort of see where you want to take things, it does take conviction in investing in technology. Investing in a new form factor, standing behind where we think it's different, and how important it is to enable different things to happen. I think we're seeing it. We're seeing that. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of people who will throw doubt at it. There's plenty of people who will have opinions that are like, I don't get it. It's fine. But ultimately, it takes a little bit of vision. It takes some vision and conviction, and then ultimately, if it's anchored in customers, if it's anchored in the people you believe are going to go after it and use it, and it'll make a difference in their lives, we get pretty jacked up. It's something where we get excited. I personally get to this point of like, wow, we're going to make a difference. We can drive change. That's inspiring. And then you watch this team kind of roll into it. And believe in what they're building and making. And by the way, 5-6 years in the making. This isn't like we had an idea.
Right.
Last October, I got on stage and then said, "Hey, check it out. Here it is." That's not how it really works. And you iterate, and here we are talking to you. So
I'm curious. Do you look at this device as a phone? Do you call it a phone? Is it a phone?
I get in trouble, man, with this question. I got to be honest. I've answered it plenty of different ways. So, like, somebody should go get the excerpts. Like, what has he said?
Right.
It just depends. I look at it as a surface, and that's my mind.
Sure.
That's not even like a trick. That's not like a marketing tool. It's none of that. It's like, this is how we talked about it. This is Surface. It's a product that's going to adapt to what you need to do. Period. And that hinge allows it. The thinness allows it. The fitting in your pocket enables it. The idea that I can move around with it, stay connected at all times, and all of a sudden you're like, well, what's my phone for if I have a Surface Duo? So then ask the question, do you think it's a phone? Sure. At that point, if you feel like the mental model, if you think I'm going to replace my phone with Duo, you should. Like, it's transformative, I believe. And so
right. To be clear though, for you, it is your phone.
It is. Like, this is, I carry two phones, or I had carried two phones for the longest time. Now I carry two of these. And quite frankly, I only need one now. It's super fascinating. Like calendar and mail side by side is a big deal for me. Instagram and Twitter, YouTube and Instagram at the same time. Like these are things that I could only at one point, mail and calendar on my PC to get things done and just know where I'm at because I'm moving, so fast and connecting with others. But yeah, it's kind of it's transformed how I'm operating. Lou, like this is it. This is my phone. And I don't have a problem saying it. That's
Right.
where I kind of get in trouble. Like you just said, it wasn't a phone. Like I promise you, for many it will be their phone. For others, it'll be a replacement for their tablet. And for many, it'll be the second phone. Like I totally get it. I do think though that here's the thing with this product. When you first use it, it depends how you intend to use it. It will either take you longer to learn or shorter, and depending on how you use it. If you take your primary SIM out, you put it in the Duo, it will become your phone, and within a week, it will be the only thing you can use, and it will transform how you're doing things. If you choose to, use it as a tablet, it'll take a little longer on the learning curve. The engagement models where you engage it, and I think eventually it migrates to being your phone. So I think it'll be different for most people. For me, it's my phone.
Yeah. So then I get to this part for me where I'm thinking about the foldable market. Like we've got all these new devices emerging that are sort of taking their own approach towards what this next device is going to be. So I also have a problem calling all these things phones because I envision kind of where they might go and sort of see them as futuristic computing devices. Myself, I'm speaking on the phone less and less in the traditional sense. And so I've obviously played with Samsung's latest device. I've played with another foldable device, which I've got a video coming out soon, which I can't really mention. There's so many different approaches to these kind of pocketable, convertible things. Now, what makes yours different is you've done this dual screen approach instead of attempting to bend an OLED display like others have. What is the mindset there? Why dual display instead of a folding OLED?
Yeah, I get stuck on foldable. When you say it, I kind of go foldable, right? We looked at foldable. We didn't go that direction. We didn't actually want to land in foldable. Here, let me give you some context. And don't get me wrong, it's going to get categorized all over the place. Phone, foldable, tablet, two screen. It's okay. That's going to happen. Nobody really controls that. But I will say, our intent was dual screen. Like we have this rich history of understanding multi-mon, this rich history of multitasking, two apps at the same time on Windows. We understand like how people engage better, especially when it's structured and framed for them. And what we found was there were a couple elements. In a folding screen, I mean, that's just a closed product and an open product. And then there's management of windows and how do you get things where you want them. Really love the concept. And then we actually studied, we study brain waves, we study patterns, where we understand that when people put two screens side by side, their brain lights up differently. It just does. And you can engage, get more done, tasks. You can get more done faster, but it's also, this is the weird part. It's less stress to do it that way. And so the concept of windowing is not new, especially for Microsoft, but the idea that you can put two windows, if you will, or screens side by side and get them in your pocket, wow, that was powerful. And then when we started the studying and the belief and moving from one screen to the other and connecting those two things, that even started to validate where we were going. And then ultimately, the thing that we talked, and I think you saw it, but the hinge, being able to go back 360 degrees and take the call if you needed to, and then close it when you were done. Both those concepts were vital to what this product was going to be. All right, then pause. We have this belief in dual screen. The architecture had to be invented to get it right. The hinge had to be invented over multiple generations. You saw the launch videos, I'm sure, but a little bit of, you saw Pavan and jazz and talk about the depth of engineering that came, the years to get to this thinness, all that great. What we realize as we study and work through the seam down the middle of this product tends to be the thing that I celebrate more than anything, because it is the structure that's needed for the two screens side by side for us. So you can launch two things. They place where you would expect them to place, and then you engage. It's a very powerful kind of concept for somebody who's using it and gets into it. It's almost it's got this quality where once you learn it, you're in, and now you want to browse and text. Now you want to have a call. You and me having this call, and on the other side, I want to just stay informed and connected with somebody else. I want to watch a video, maybe talk about what I'm watching. I want to edit a video. All these things start to come to life, and out of your pocket, Lou. And that was mind blowing. Now go back to foldable. So your original question, but then there's foldable. I think that's an opening and closing screen, and it's limited to what we wanted. Then the architecture around it was you didn't actually get that structure of two screens. You have to create that. It doesn't mean it can't be created. It's an extra step. Maybe it's complex. It's not. I have not used the products you're using, so I don't. I can't comment. But I will tell you that fundamentally, we looked at both. What we can accomplish and what we think is better for the user is what we ran after and we dug into.
Well, I can speak a little bit about having experimented with all these different new devices. And one thing that stands out to me about your product is how polished it feels. The hardware, where the folding OLED has a kind of a wow factor to see it bend. At the same time, there's almost a little bit of apprehension for the user about how solid it is or long-term durable, or whether it's even the final form of that tech.
Yeah.
As opposed to holding the Surface Duo, which it feels robust, solid. It feels further along in the generation than a first generation product. Well, I mean, it probably speaks to the fact that you guys have been working on it for so long.
It's not necessarily a first gen product, especially from a hardware standpoint. I mean, it's a good point. I think we have this. It was important to us that this product was emotional when you picked it up. It felt emotion, not the product itself, but the human that grabbed it, and that meant we had to push kind of the boundaries of thinness, the hinge, the radii, like what you're solving for here. I mean, here's my camera right there, and then when you fold it back, like that perfectly flat piece, because when it's in your pocket, we didn't want this bulge, we didn't want this bulk. We also wanted large enough screens, so when you did open it, you had this, whoa, I got so much content. Did I really just take this out of my pocket? Look at how much I have. That's all emotional in many ways. But then when you pick it up, you feel the thinness. And honestly, the build quality, it's the best we've accomplished in Surface. And there's a team, it takes so much pride in this. The mechanical engineers, the double E's, the industrial designers, they are in together and refusing to compromise. And it took years to get to that point, and it's taken generations of other products and that history to show up in this product. And so you can feel that. But what you also understand is, and you saw this, Lou, the thinness comes from the fact that there is no radius here on the hinge. There is no bulge or bulk. It is, you put it together, put it next to a regular phone or a slab, as you said, you're going to kind of see they're about the same thickness when this is closed with two screens. That was the goal. And then when you opened it, there was this emotional connection. You can either hold it like a book, you can fold it backwards, it'll adapt to you. All that's true, and the hinge it gives you that kind of car door feeling, like it just robust, that high-end car door, like you open it, close it, and you're like, wow, I know I can trust it. Those are elements.
Yeah, actually, I think it's even better than a lot of car doors because it stops at any point, as opposed to finding those stop points. I have a slightly nicer car that does stop at any point like this hinge, but that costs a lot more money than this.
But it's super delightful, right? Like that element.
Yes, absolutely.
So we have a couple incredible MEs, mechanical engineers that work on this product. Incredible. And the friction-based hinge and what it is, And it'll blow you. Like if you sat through some of these reviews and the design points and the care and love that goes into the every element, every part of the angle. Now the trick is, Lou, is the device understanding what angle it's sitting at. Now that's the software hardware integration. Like we got to know what the user's intention is. We almost have to predict it many times, and that also is a process. So you got to perfect the hardware, and then you got to bring the software along, and that's what makes a product, of course. But bringing those two things together has been delightful, and almost feel like I maybe, I don't want to be overstated, but really, it's this team is pretty incredible what they're able to accomplish.
So I have a functional question for you. I've been using the device for a while myself, but probably definitely nowhere near the amount of time that you've been using it. Do you ever take it in the sort of folded this way? I don't know if you can see that. The open fold. Do you ever put it in your pocket like that, but locked?
Yeah. Yes. It just depends what I'm doing. Like there are times, the answer is yes, more times than not. I leave it in phone mode is what this is called. That's how I leave it. Right. And I gotta be careful because I've got messages here and I don't want, it's amazing what people pause and zoom in on.
Oh, trust me, I've experienced it.
It blows
many times.
My mind when I get a phone call. What were you thinking? I'm like, shit, I was just using my product. I don't know what. I've
had to change my phone number a few times.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I use it this way more times than not. There are times though. So like if I'm at Costco, which seems to be my super, that's like my date night with Mary these days, my wife, and we like Costco's where we go.
Right.
I will close it, put it in my pocket, and just chill, and that kind of actually shuts things down for me. It's quite nice. It's different. And I get a vibration, or I know if I'm getting a call. If I'm wearing my earbuds, I can take it. But it really, when I want to close it, I close it. But outside of that, Lou, no, even by my nightstand, I put it down like this, just so I can get my glanceables. And it's just like my phone. Right. Now, you can start questioning like how well does it fit in your hand, and if you're going to use it all the time that way. My primary typing posture when I'm in phone mode is just 2 thumbs on the device and going full speed, so I can respond quickly and just stay engaged. But and like you said, I'm not taking a lot of calls anymore.
Yeah, well, actually, the reason for the question was sort of around that digital detox concept. The phone, the typical smartphone is always in open mode. It's sort of always there when you place it on a table, pull it out of your pocket. It's constantly inviting you to interact with it. And this kind of shares something with laptops in the sense that when you close the lid, you're done with it for a bit, at least.
Spot on. Like, good for you. Thank you. There's something when we designed the product was closure. My team doesn't like when I say this publicly, but closure matters. Like sometimes you just want to be done. 4 kids, Lou. Believe me, like there's plenty to do at all times, but I love this idea. Like when we sit down to play Fortnite, I shut my Duo and put it down, and we sit next to each other. My daughter and I. She's 10, and she's better than I am in every sense. But we jump in. Actually, you can't disturb me, as opposed to watching my screen light up, and then oh wait, I'm missing something. And that digital detox you talked about. Have you experienced this? I'm sure you have. Have you been in a conversation with somebody who's wearing a watch? And we're
Absolutely.
Here, and then next thing you know, they're talking. They're actually talking, and they look down at their watch, and you can see they come out of flow. Their brain twists. They read what they said, and they come back up. You feel that emotional disconnect, and then you kind of have to catch back up. You got there's like pause and like, where was I? Some are better than others at re-engaging. To your point of that detox, like I don't think it's getting better right now. Like in many ways, we're getting informed at all times, and it's disruptive, and it takes us out of our flow sometimes as humans that are connecting. even in video calls now, as we work through COVID and we spend so much time on our PCs, you'll see people glance at their phones or their watch while they're talking to you, and you can feel that. That's not like a missed emotion or a missed connection between people. We don't dismiss that. We see eyes move. We then take those micro tells on the other side. We use them. Are they listening to me? Are they just not interested? Uh-oh, did they get over interrupted? Should I pause and ask them if they need a minute? Like, all those things kind of pull us out. So one of the things that Duo does is you want to connect, you want to be connected. Closing it matters. And I'm not over-indexing on it, but it's real for sure. Now, to that point, this is the learning curve of the product. If you're used to a phone in your pocket and you're addicted to that glanceable nature of it, addicted might not be the right word. I'll probably get in trouble for that.
I think it's the right word. I think it's an absolutely fair word.
I don't want to get in trouble. But let's just say that's it. Like, what you do is you're like, just check. Am I missing something? I'm missing. There is a learning curve to not have that available to you. And the longer you use this product, the more you actually respect that and appreciate it. But at first, you're like, Panos, I just want to get to the information. I want to know when it's coming in. I remember getting that feedback when we first started. Or I just need to know when information's passing through. I'm like, you probably do. And if use Duo, and when it's closed, it's closed. If it doesn't work for you, then don't. It's okay. But then the answer is you can use it folded back, and that's okay too. Like, it's a phone at that point. But I do love the concept of digital detox. I do love the concept of it. Sometimes we need to be with each other, Lou.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, the example that you used of the smartwatch, it's the reason I'm using a semi-smartwatch right now with all notifications turned off, because it would be that thing when you sort of turned off your phone, then that one would pick up where your phone left off. And it was sort of having the unintended effect that you were mentioning, where it could just hijack a moment. And it's becoming harder and harder to protect those moments. And so I was aware of it and actually put those devices away for that purpose. Now, obviously, there are some people who manage it better and are able to have only the key notifications come through, or you get better at ignoring it. But there is kind of a strange training process with those devices that by default, out of the box, they want to hit you with everything. And there's a biological feedback to that buzz that pulls you back into the sort of digital realm and out of the real one.
It's fascinating. Look, and you're right. There's many people that manage it well. There's many people that love it and fall in love with it, which is cool. Like for me, that as a team, as a product maker, as a team of product makers, like when somebody falls in love with your product and they need it, that's awesome. And when they want it, come on, like you celebrate that for sure. You made a difference. But yeah, it's just a concept, and it resonates when you tell me. Like, it resonates when you talk about it. It's cool that you pick up on it.
Now, another key difference that I noticed with this product compared to some of the, I guess you could maybe comparables that are out there, is that this device doesn't make a big deal of the camera in the same way that other devices do. I mean, even if I'm looking at the Samsung folding product, it's still got a huge kind of massive camera hump on the back. Now, for good reason in their case, they're trying to have a flagship level. There's a zoom camera in there, and it's just a huge focus for those devices for most smartphones. This one, on the other hand, kind of hides the camera. Well, like a lot of the other things, when it's closed, there's nothing really staring back at you. But obviously, there's a compromise there. If you're going to have a tiny little camera module and only a single camera unit, then some users, some potential buyers that's going to be a consideration for them. So, what was the thinking behind that decision? Why not have some giant camera hump on the device?
Yeah, I think for the things you've already said it. I mean, it's a good leading question, and you've kind of resolved it for yourself. The focus wasn't the camera. The focus was two screens side by side. And then once you start designing a product for that, you start realizing what's most important, which include the thinness, the elegance, the ability to fold it back, not getting caught in a wedge because there's a huge bump on the back of the product, and I can't put it in my pocket the way we just talked about. And really, is it about the camera? No, I mean, if you really wanted a premium camera, premium's not the right word. This is a premium camera. You can take some great pictures with it. But if you wanted to go speed, feed, compare, you know, a master zoom class and kind of push the boundaries of cameras, that wasn't where we were going to put our energy. It results in too many trade-offs on the product, from thinness to weight to what it's really being used for, which is the most important thing. And ultimately, that 360-degree hinge then get compromised, and then the principle of the product kind of starts to fall down, and you realize you're chasing a spec. And don't get me wrong, that spec or that camera, more than a spec, that amazing cameras, by the way, on some of these devices, like crazy cool tech. If it's important and the most critical thing for you, if you're buying a camera and there's a phone with it, awesome. Like, there's plenty of products for that. But it's also hard when you say, Panos, is it a phone? And I'm like, once I say yes, you're like, well, the camera sucks, man. I'm like, well, that's a camera. You just asked me if it was a phone. But isn't it funny how phones and cameras are synonymous with one another? It makes perfect sense. And it's a need for many. But really, at the end of the day, the product takes great photos. And it's amazing for front-facing camera, which is where we put our energy. Like, you're going to be on a Teams call, a Zoom call. You're going to get into any one of the apps you want that are two-way. And WhatsApp, you're going to use Snap. Like, then we have a great front-facing camera. We're working on eye gaze. We're bringing it to Duo, so you're going to connect with the people even closer from Duo to Duo. Like, we've got these amazing focus areas that are about this experience. I should probably pick up my device, but like, it's about this. And you're when you, as a team and as a group of product makers, and for myself, it is fundamentally like, what is the one thing this product's going to deliver? Like, you've got to stay there. You want to make a beautiful product. You want that emotional moment. You don't know how delightful it was to watch you pull that thing out of the box and go, whoa, what is this? That matters, man. Look, that matters. Like, it totally matters.
Yeah.
And then the robustness you're talking about in the feel, like, all that comes together seamlessly. And, you know, there's moments where you make decisions on what the product will be and what the product won't be. And to your point, when you kind of made that call, and I know, don't get me wrong, I've gotten plenty of feedback. It's first thing I get asked. And what about my camera? I'm like, well, just flip it backwards and take a photo, then call me. And then tell me how great of a photographer you are, like, and how much you really need. And if you need a if you needed to go get like true photography lessons or whatever it is, or go get the perfect photo, like, I think there's plenty of products that can do that for you. And I would never talk bad about those products. I purposely don't use many of them because I don't want to have an opinion. But I also, because I get asked a lot, and it's better for me from a genuine sense to not, have to sugarcoat. But I think it's going to be for people when they go to buy Duo or invest in it or be part of the Duo family or the Surface family. Yeah, and that'll be a decision point. Do I want the two screens, and do I want the productivity that it brings? Do I want this adaptability? Do I want tent mode? Do I want to be able to sit on an airplane and just fold this thing and watch it on this massive screen and beautiful? Do I want to be able to keep it in my pocket and see on this massive screen? All the things that you get, you'll have to ask yourself, do I also, but I need the camera bump, so what do I do now? Or do I want the camera bump? I'm just going to say that, not to be rude, just in simple form. And that'll be a trade-off that people have to make when they're coming after this product. But I think you nailed it. It's about the thinness, about the elegance, about the folding. It's about what the product was designed for, to be used by people.
Well, it's all part of the relationship. It's all part of, in some ways, the way you go on to use the device, think about the device, talk about the device, it all depends on that initial interaction.
It's so true. Yeah. So true. That's why when you pull Duo out of the box the first time, I was anxious, you picked it up, you're like, whoa, I'm like, oh gosh.
Well, actually, to be honest with you, I think this device sort of requires real reactions, maybe more so than it requires the typical, let's say, review process. And the reason being is because the review process, as we've seen it kind of emerge on the web and through video, it sometimes struggles with emotion. Yeah. And emotion is such a big part of sort of what we extract from these devices and the work that goes into them. And reviews, on the other hand, tend to look more at a spec sheet, being comprehensive, getting all the details in. But sometimes the details or a list of details doesn't properly encompass a product and what it means or how it behaves. And so pulling this out of the box and capturing the initial moment of interaction is closer for me to how a potential customer should think about it, because holding it is different than seeing it.
Yeah.
And that's a difficult thing, by the way, to express or to put into a video. There's no other way than capturing it live. And then it's up to the viewer to determine, okay, that's his reaction. That's how he's feeling about it. That's his initial feedback. And then they're closer to how the same experience might feel for them.
Yeah. I love, that's what I love about it. I think it's genuine. Like, more and more people are emotionally connecting to the products that they're using, for sure. I wouldn't say that was the case, 7 years ago, but I would tell you now, like, it's part of who we are. It's on us all the time. It's meaningful. And whether it's a PC or a phone, it matters. And we're starting to see it more. You're right. That emotional connection. I also believe in this a little bit. I get here, I end up here every time, but these products reflect the people that are making them. And this, like, the team's going to put all its energy in. I want people to take all the energy out of it that use them. And that's where you get a relentless team. That's where you get relentless people looking at every detail, and it matters. I don't want to ever have to say sorry to you. Oh, I know that part wasn't perfect. Sorry, but the rest is cool, right? Like, that's like, it misses a point. Like, but there's a hole in your shirt. Yeah, I know, but look at the rest of my shirt. And so there's just an element of truth to keeping people engaged, connected, and kind of encompassed. But you're right. It's been hard to express. Like, pick it up and feel it. Turn on the screens and look at them. Mm-hmm. Before you take the shot. And I don't get it. It's missing this spec, this feed, this point that I needed. How could you possibly do that? Like, just first pick it up, then read a book on it, then take a note on it.
There's a thing about it. There's a kind of a balance. There's a balanced feeling when you hold it, which is very difficult to showcase in video. There's a lightness to it. Obviously, the insane thinness of it, which without a reference point to some other phone, just seeing the product images, it's hard to know how different that is. Yeah. But that's sort of the aim, obviously, for me in my video, and having the reaction in there is to try to portray some of those intangible pieces that are just tougher to write down.
Yeah, I think it's why you're having such a great impact. Like, it matters. Right now, my kids, 20, 17, 14, they're watching creators like yourself, and they're leaning into the opinion because it's just genuine, it's real, and we don't read as much as we used to, maybe.
Definitely.
Yeah, like I know my kids, they'll read their book at night, and I love that, But when they want info, if they want to learn, they're moving to YouTube. They're moving to Insta. They're using, for me, our team and my family, Edge, and getting on the web and just getting the videos off there. Like, so this is just reality, and it's fun to see. Fun to actually, can I just say this? Like, it's really it's an honor to be just talking to you today. Like, it's humbling. It's super humbling and a little bit frightening. And also, like, I get to represent my team, the team. Our team, like, that team has killed themselves, like, in so many different ways. I guess that's a bad sense, but they put so much in, and to be able to represent it is nice. So I appreciate you having me on.
Cool. Yeah, of course. No, the feeling is likewise there. Appreciate having you here too. I think it's going to be insightful for a lot of audience members to sort of get your perspective and hear it from the other side, because people who have been watching my videos, they get to see the reaction, they get to see the analysis, but I'm always trying my best to come from a place of appreciation, come from a place of respect for the work that goes into something. Especially recently, the longer I've been doing this, the more I've been able to recognize how difficult it is to make things, and especially to make things that are different or new or to I mean, this is a risk. These are risky moves, and so I try to put some of that in there. But ultimately, having you on is going to be the best way for people to get a better sense of the behind the scenes, the effort, the energy, the commitment, and so forth. Anyway, I wanted to ask you one more thing, just about the decision to go with Android, to create to have a relationship with Google here. I mean, as a famous, maybe the most famous software company out there, there was a Windows Phone. I remember first hearing about the Courier project. I don't know, what was that, 2010 or something? Long time ago. I mean, I've been kind of following the thing along, as many tech enthusiasts have. And then you get to a point where I guess there's a recognition, and I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that Android is the thing that's in people's pockets, and that, okay, here we are as Microsoft, but we're going to have to collaborate on this device. I just want to hear a little bit more about the background on that.
I got a bunch of party lines for you if you want them, but let me just spare you those and jump into like background. At the end of the day, like even talking with Satya, we sat down. We want to meet our customers where they are. That sounds like a line, but it's not. It's true. It's real. Like that's where they are. And you don't want to reinvent that. There's no point at this point. They're there because the apps are there. And they're there because it's a great platform. It turns out, Microsoft's one of the largest ISVs on Android, as it were. We have so many apps that are built for Android. And you put all that together and you're like, wow, let's make a great product. Just product. So maybe it's an Android OS. It's got our Microsoft, energy into it. And then fundamentally, we're optimizing the apps that people use from Microsoft on the product. We call it the best of Microsoft. And that was the design point for the product. It was the best of Microsoft and the Android, let's put those together. And the dream there was, hey, would Google be interested in that? That's an interesting, just alone. I didn't make that many friends when we started this process. Trust me. Like, it's not like everybody's like, this makes perfect sense. You should do this. I mean, it takes, I believe, like a leader like Satya to push that envelope and say, we adopt all platforms for sure. Let's now, practice what we're preaching. It's true. And making an end product with another platform, that was a little bit, especially from the leader who runs Windows. Like that's, I don't know that everybody was excited, but the truth is it's the product you need right now. And that's what I believe. It has the apps that you need. And Android's so flexible to help us with that adaptability for users. Like it's super cool. Now, on top of that, it gives an extra focus on making the Microsoft properties on Android great. So, think about Office, think about Teams, think about Edge. You could just go all the way down the list: News, To Do, OneNote, all these apps that come to life on Android, even management apps for commercial customers. Like, there's just opportunity to get closer to the customer, which, by the way, what Surface did a lot for Windows was just get us closer to the lives that we want to change, to hear what people are saying, like straight up. And now we're going to get that same filter from Duo. And it's I don't know, it's hard to say, but it's the right platform for this product. To your point, people have Android in their pocket. It matters.
Yeah. And what I think is funny enough, we've been living in a space where, and I've experienced this firsthand being on the web talking about tech. We've been living in a space where tech companies have to be enemies and have to have their fans exclusively, and their fans have to be at war with everybody, all the other fans, and it gets exhausting at a certain point. And what might, to some, at first glance, be like, okay, they've made the concession here that this is some sort of point of weakness, or someone could perceive it that way, but in reality, it might be a strength to be able to look at it and say, and be honest, and to start with the customer instead of maybe pride, let's say.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Let me give you two sides to that. Just because I need to acknowledge what you said about fans, but I also want to just share that acknowledgement. Think about Microsoft's mission statement for a minute. It's we thrive on this. We believe in it. We want to empower every human and organization on the planet to achieve more. I mean, that's a huge statement, but it's meaningful. It matters. Like having a mission in life, a vision for who you are, what you want to be, and then, but you can that matters, and then translate to what you're doing at work, especially, and to be able to say, we have a mission that's to help every human achieve more. Then take that. And then me talking about putting Duo on Android is not crazy. It's where people are. It's what we need. It's what it's what will help that mission. So take a leader like me that gets very convicted in vision and where we're headed and patience on that journey. And you can kind of see Duo represent that. Pause. Go to fans for a minute. Dude, let's be clear. It is hard for me to read when one of my fans or a Microsoft fan or a Windows fan sends me a note, telling me what they think. Like what have you done? And then I only hope, I hope they get the product and they use it and they go, oh my gosh, this is an awesome Microsoft product. Mm-hmm. It's a Microsoft product using an Android platform, but it's a Microsoft product. You will feel Surface. You felt when you pick it up, you will know it's Surface. And I think our fans will be delighted once they start to understand, connect that mission of empowering everyone to achieve what they want to achieve, and then connect it to this product, and you can see it. Like you can literally see it. Tie that to a fan. Sometimes there's a few. Believe me, I don't know if you do this, but I try not to. I read as much as I can to be respectful of the people who put energy back into what I do. I won't watch this video. I can't. I won't read articles that maybe I'm quoted, and that's hard. But I read my comments. I read what fans are saying because I have to stay connected to people using the products, and it matters to me. But boy, I got to tell you, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you get those moments. You're like, I think I want to just call this human. Which, by the way, that early on I tried a few times. A very bad idea. Very bad. Like it doesn't. It doesn't scale. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
scale.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think you're gonna make a lot of fans happy with this one. You have something special. You have something different, and believe it or not, that's in my job where I'm sort of always looking for that next thing. I'm looking to be inspired in what I do, in the videos that I shoot, in the devices that I have the opportunity to interact with. This one sort of captured my imagination. It got me back into the realm of thinking about futuristic computing devices, not necessarily being stuck on the form factors that currently exist. Devices like this are the reason I got into this in the first place.
Cool.
I mean, the kid version of me is alive and well when I get the opportunity to interact with things like this. I want to thank you for joining us here and being a part of this video. I think it's going to be really insightful to a lot of viewers out there, to Unbox Therapy fans, to Microsoft fans. So thank you so much, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Hey, I'm appreciative. I'm grateful. Like I said, it's humbling to be on here representing Microsoft. Like, it's a big deal. Lou, you're doing a hell of a job, by the way. Thank you for spending the time with us. And I'll be sure to kind of pass a lot of this through to the team so they can kind of get the feeling and the filters that you've given us. So I appreciate that.
Awesome.
All right, you take care.
Yeah, you too. See you.